Ladies and gentlemen, welcome you guys to another episode of our show, Pop Culture, where we try and identify the issues that are penetrating the society and community and forming a culture around us today. We try and identify them and tackle them. As you've become accustomed, we go downtown, we ask just regular people what they think about the issues. Today's episode is on the sex ed curriculum and how it's starting to become introduced at ages that are very, very young. So we hit the streets, downtown Toronto, sex ed curriculum. Have a look.
I think it is a normal thing for just because there are people should do such things, but I think it's normal, so nothing more. But in my country, maybe they cares much more about it.
I think it's a good idea for the kids to learn since the society is changing, and I don't know. I think it's good for them to learn in school, not in outside the world.
I think education is important for educating small children. I'm not sure. I think it depends on how old children or how far developed their mind is. I think some 4-year-olds are not as developed as others.
Honestly, my family and we're all against it. I was here downtown. It was a couple of months ago. It was parade downtown. We were against it. I don't think children should be taught those things at a young age, because in grade 9 I was taught that. I think that's a good age when you start high school. And in elementary school you should not be taught those things, because once you're you go in a bad path, you're just going to stay there. There's no turning back. So I think it's not a good change that they're making us.
If you don't educate them in that young age, maybe they'll do something wrong that you can never cover it.
I think that the way they're saying is grade 1. I think it might be too early. Maybe it should be in grade 5 or a little bit later in the grade.
It's just going to change their behavior, how they see, how they look at things, how their views are towards the society. They're going to know about these things from a young age. It's just going to change their perspective towards whatever their opinion is. I just feel like it's just going to change their whole thing. I don't think they're going to have a clean, natural view of how things are going to go. It's just going to be scattered. Their view is going to be scattered.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You just witnessed the interviews on the sex ed curriculum. To help us with this issue and answer some questions, our very own Ramez Musa, who's very involved in the community. He serves youth, children, parents, young adults, close to 20 years. Always brings such wonderful insight and knowledge. Also very successful as well, an Apple engineer. So it's always a pleasure to be joining us. Thank you so much, Ramez, for accepting the invitation and being with us here today.
No, thank you very much, John. It's actually my pleasure and my blessing to be here. I'm not worthy to be here with you today. It's a big blessing, and I'm very happy to be here on CYC.
Excellent. So today, as you just saw, we hit the street asking people what their views on this new sex ed curriculum that is going to be introduced in grades 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And what are some of your views on this becoming, something to be taught in class at such a young age?
Okay, very good. So I want to start out by saying that, just so that everybody understands, our church and our Catholic Church, we admire, we like education. We want our congregation, and we want our kids, we want our youth, all our members to be very, very, educated among different topics, to be very, very highly communicated. And our record speaks for itself in the sense of the amount of successful cops in society and the world is very, very exceptional for a fairly small community. So I just want to say we are not against education or anything like that. But the problem that you raise, with sexual education being studied, at such a young age, there's actually multiple problems with it. The first problem is having a child that is, grade 3. So that you're looking at a kid that is about 8 years old. 8 years old. Having him to sit in a sexual education class. I wondered to myself, is that really what we want? Having an innocent, a pure and innocent, a very, a little angel sit down and study topics that they're not ready for. It's clearly that they're not ready for. Why are we tarnishing this image in their head at an age that they're not ready to accept? Perhaps if we wait longer, which which is my opinion is the right thing to do, and the church's opinion. Perhaps if we wait a little bit longer till they're ready to absorb something like that, and to mentally develop and emotionally and psychologically develop to be able to partake into something like this, and to tarnish the image of God in them. Very, very pure, very, very angel. I heard a story the other day, which is actually very, very disturbing, where a girl, this happened in the United States. A girl, I believe she was, grade 3 or 4. Her father and mother were arguing, and I believe her father may have been very angry or may have been difficult. So the girl has pulled her mom on the side and asked her, "Hey, Mom, why don't you just marry another woman? Men are very, very difficult." Now, you tell me if that's right or wrong. You tell me if this is what we really want to present for somebody that age. Totally unacceptable, very, very disturbing, not ready for it, not the right time, shouldn't be done, end of.
Now, the society's defense to that is saying, this is happening regardless, and our kids now with the technology and stuff are exposed to it earlier. Is it better for them to be introduced to this stuff in class, or is it better for them to just kind of encounter this stuff on the street?
So obviously, this is to say that our kids are already abused, are already exposed to that. You're basically accepting a problem and just say, hey, make it worse. So hey, this is a problem. Let's just make it worse. Oh, we'll give it to them for free. It's kind of like somebody who's on drugs or taking a little bit of drug or doing something wrong, and they say, hey, look, you're already doing it wrong. Why don't you just give you a little bit more?
We're not trying to fix the mistake.
Why don't you try to fix the mistake? Yeah, we have to fix the mistake. If kids are being exposed to it, whether it's through TV, internet, friends, or whatever it is, we have to deal with the mistake. We have to protect them. We have to guide them. Say, hey, you're not, obviously they're not ready to talk about these things at that age. In my opinion, they're not ready, and I think many people will agree with me. We have to protect them. We try to deal with it in the sense that we, whether it's putting passwords on their devices at home, their internet or their computers, or making sure we know what shows, TVs they watch, and putting locks on that, or being careful of whoever they be friends with. We're supposed to protect them, protect the image of God, the purity, the innocence. Why would you want to have an 8-year-old talk about these topics? Why?
If the intent is to kind of educate them and to kind of equip them with some of the safer choices in class, is that a bad thing?
No, the intent is to try to protect them, but they're not ready for it. They're not ready for it. It's like, I could give you multiple examples. For instance, a kid who lives, let's say, a kid lives in a very bad neighborhood, in a very dangerous neighborhood. Do you give them a gun and say, hey, just because you live in a bad neighborhood, I'm just going to give you this gun, just in case, or do you protect them in the sense that you make sure that they're away from the bad people, that their path to school, whether they're walking to school, or maybe perhaps you want to drive them to school and pick them up yourself so that they're protected. That's what you do. You don't give them a weapon and say, hey, just in case something happens, I just want you to be, protected. That's not protection, in my opinion. That's making a problem even worse. And something that I haven't touched on is the nature of sexual education itself. It's not just that they're teaching them, they're teaching them very, very controversial topics such as homosexuality. That's part of the curriculum, and that's very, very, very disturbing. That in itself is flawed, because for them to teach them a controversial topic like that, which many people are against, is totally unacceptable. Yeah.
Now, what are some of the solutions? I think the church is obviously against this, because you're exposing our kids to this at a very young age and kind of justifying it and bringing it in the light when it's the act of darkness. Now, what is a proposed solution to our children and youth that we kind of want to, keep their purity and sanctity?
Yeah. So some of the solutions is that we need to speak up and we need to be heard out of the community. We need to get to the decision makers and the people who put the curriculum and explain to them that we as a congregation are against this. We are not going to accept this. We don't believe that it's right. We don't want our kids to be exposed to it. We want to protect our kids, and this is what we believe in. And from my experience, what I'm seeing, if we speak and we address it the right way, we'll get positive results. For instance, there's a lot of people or a lot of different denominations that are against different things, and it's been proved that if they speak and they present their opinions, to the right people and to get the right attention, they will be heard. And this is our role, to speak up, to get the right attention, to explain the right things, so that the right folks who make the decisions are able to help us with this cause. It must be done, and it's within our right to do that. It's all right.
And how can we kind of involve God in terms of, seeking God, and you always say prayer, prayer, prayer.
So that's a very, very good point. Number one, we have to pray about it. More important than anything, we have to pray about it. We have to pray about it continuously, pray about it all the time, saying, hey, this is an issue that is facing our youth, our kids, our children, because it's a very, very important issue. Pray for it, ask for the intercessions of all the saints, of St. Mary and all the saints to help us and guide us. And we may need to fast specifically for this topic, saying this is really going to damage our youth, this is going to affect us. We may need to raise a fast, or specifically to fast against this, to ask for help and for God to guide us when we're speaking with these, or whoever it is that we're speaking with, so that we're saying the right things, so that the word that we're trying to present reaches them, so that they can make the right decision. So my advice is to fast, pray, ask the Lord about it, ask for the intercessions of all the saints and St. Mary. Do our best. We have to obviously strive for this, because it's a very passionate thing, a very important topic. Strive for it, and I'm sure the Lord will guide the people and will bless them, so that we are able to present our topic, to present our point of view.
Excellent. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Our very own Ramiz Musa. A little bit of discussion about the sex ed curriculum, some of the the negative effects and the consequences that we can kind of feel, that we will see later on. We'll do our best. We ask for prayers, always fasting, that God extend His right hand and keep everything away from our youth. We ask for your prayers. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.